And so we went from pretty decent bass fishermen to trying to go to saltwater fishing. And dude, we bombed. Like, it was the most frustrating.
It didn't translate.
No,
yeah.
It was probably like your experience from Montana to Alabama. It was just like, whoa, this is way different.
Welcome to the LandTrust Podcast, where land, technology, and the outdoors meet. Whether you're a landowner, an outdoor enthusiast, or someone curious about the future of recreation on private land, you're in the right place. Each episode, we share real stories from the LandTrust community, from unforgettable guest experiences to conversations with landowners about their land and why they choose to share it, plus interviews with leaders, shaping how we all experience the outdoors. And now, here's your host, Nick DeCastro.
Welcome to the LandTrust Podcast, where land, technology, and the outdoors come together. This episode is part of our Outsides Insider series, where we sit down with the founders, operators, and insiders shaping the future of the outdoor industry. As always, the opinions shared here in the episode are those of our guests. They don't necessarily reflect those of LandTrust or even of their companies. Today's guest is someone who's done something a lot of people only dream about, leaving a successful career behind to chase a passion. Joe Simonds is the co-founder and CEO of SaltStrong, a wildly popular fishing education, community, and tech platform that he started with his brother Luke after walking away from the finance world. Since then, they've built a powerhouse brand, millions of YouTube views, tens of thousands of Insider Club members, a thriving gear business, and it's all centered around helping people catch more fish and create more meaningful memories on the water. I'm actually a proud member of the SaltStrong community, having joined after I moved down here from Montana to the Gulf Coast last year, trying to figure out how to catch fish. On that, we'll introduce you. Joe, thanks for coming on.
Dude, heck of an intro. Pumped to be here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I said right there at the end, I discovered you guys, I think on YouTube, which, I want to get into kind of all your marketing stuff. It's kind of insider conversation. But yeah, I grew up I grew up Southern California. I grew up, fishing inshore in the ocean, but in the Pacific. And, it's a different ballgame, different species of fish. And so when I moved down here from Montana it's almost exactly a year ago. We're recording August 28th. I think we moved September 1st. I'm like redfish. I still never landed a redfish even today.
We got to fix that.
I've never caught redfish or speckled trout totally. So, I come down here to drink from the fire hose. There's phenomenal fishing on the Gulf Coast. I live, in Fairhope in Alabama. Yeah. And so I'm like on YouTube just trying to figure it out. And I found Bama Beach Bum. So he's right down there in Gulf Shores. And then I think he was probably talking about smart fishing spots. Again, we'll get into all this stuff for the listeners if they have no idea what we're talking about. But I discovered you through my own needs. Like, I want to learn how to catch fish. I don't want to drive 45 minutes down to the Gulf and fish from the beach and, come up empty-handed every single time, although sometimes that's fishing. And yeah, you guys had great presence, the right people you're working with, the right YouTube content. And I found you guys, and I didn't convert right away. I probably, months. It was probably months of just kind of dripping content and, watching some of your fishing knot videos. And I don't know, and then finally I got to a point I'm like, okay, I'll convert. And I got to remember exactly what it was. But yeah, so I did. It's been awesome. The community has blown me away. It's actually something I didn't really even know about when I converted, per se. So that's been kind of interesting. Like, I would say almost the most impactful part of your ecosystem, because it is not just one product. At least the way I think about it, has been the community. And I didn't really even know that prior to converting. So I think that's super cool when you're converting customers like myself. And almost the best thing is, you open the kimono to it. So anyways, I said a bunch there. Sorry, I didn't mean to take all of it, but I am a passionate user. So tell folks first about yourself and your bona fides, and then we'd love to hear just how do you describe SaltStrong to people?
Yeah, so my brother Luke and I grew up in Florida, born and raised, and we had parents and grandparents, probably like you and a lot of your listeners, who were very into the outdoors, owned a lot of different boats over the years. And I remember going to the beach. My grandparents had a little condo near Daytona Beach, and we would spend all 3 months there. And that was my only exposure to saltwater fishing. But I loved it. We learned how to catch pompano and whiting, the stuff that you're doing there in Alabama. Yeah. And he would take us out in his little cuddy cabin boat and, catch bluefish. And we just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And we loved spending time there. And the other, 9 months of the year, we lived in Winter Haven, Florida, which is, if you know what that is, it's like try to take a pin or a tack and put it in the center of Florida. You're right there, right in the middle, tons of lakes, a lot of bass fishing, and we love bass fishing. And as we continue to get older, like probably a lot of your listeners, time got more valuable, right? When you're young, you don't really care. And we also decided to start exploring more. And so we went from pretty decent bass fishermen to trying to go to saltwater fishing. And dude, we bombed. Like, it was the most frustrating.
It didn't translate.
No, it was probably like your experience from Montana to Florida or to Alabama. It was just like, whoa, this is way different. And what we found, and I'm a little bit older than you, and at the time this would have been 20 years ago now, there really wasn't that much education. So at the time, this is pre-YouTube, right? So we had essentially fishing magazines and fishing TV shows. And I'm not knocking either of these, but they're
not educational. I don't know.
And they're not real time. Like, by the time that, we had Florida Sportsman, I still get Florida Sportsman. I like the magazine. I'm not bashing it. I actually do read them still. But by the time it hit your doorstep, I mean, it's 9 months old, right? From the time those articles were written. So there's nothing like real time. And even the shows, we found out, it was anyone trying to get into this industry, it was very eye-opening how sponsor driven everything was. And it was less about like teaching. It was more like, hey, pitch this product and you got to showcase this. And right,
hold the reel like this.
Yeah. I mean, every fishing TV show is paid for by sponsors. It's the reason it's free. Like, meaning a consumer doesn't have to pay to watch XYZ show. I'm not bashing that model. That's just, it was very eye opening. So we're like, man, if there's people like us and you, I mean, you said earlier, that's why you joined, that really want education. And the tackle part's cool. You need that, but really you need to know where the fish are. Why don't we like help kind of create something? And so the whole idea was to create an education-based platform and community that would help people catch fish. And it's evolved over the years, and we could talk about that on the podcast, but it's gone all over the place. And our background prior was actually in financial services industry. We liked it, but didn't love it. Pay was good. The relationships were okay. The irony is, like, our best relationships were the people who were into hunting and fishing. And other than that, like, just didn't really love it. And we had an opportunity to sell our little company. It was a very boutique, small company. Not enough money to say goodbye, world, I'm retiring, but certainly enough to pay off.
You didn't buy a Viking?
No. Bought a little skiff, a skiff money. But it was enough to pay off debts and pay off my wife's, student loans, and kind of go debt free and say, all right, we're going to go all in and just start creating content. And so your original question was kind of the background, and what do I say? Like, the elevator pitch is, we created the largest saltwater fishing club and community in America. And then people are like, oh, well, tell me more about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, we have a community and we have an app, and now it's a tackle store. So it has evolved over the last 10 years. We just officially hit 10 years, so a lot has changed. But end of the day, you nailed it, and shame on us for maybe not talking about it enough. But our secret sauce, like the one thing that would be really hard for AI or anyone for that matter, even a Bass Pro with all the money they have, to recreate that community, is probably like our gem, right? And it's the one thing that they're most proud of, and where I was actually in there prior to this.
I see you posting all the time.
I love it. I truly enjoy it. I'm learning. Like, we were just in Louisiana a couple weeks ago, and guess what I did? I'm in the community, like, going through all Louisiana posts, saying, hey, what are people catching? What are the trends right now? So it's just super helpful.
Yeah. It's, as a founder, and I reached out to you. I'm like, hey, man, I don't know, as founders, we can look at things differently, right? Yeah. It's just like, I'm looking at, the product, of course, but I'm looking at your funnels. I'm looking at, I don't know, we just look at it different critically, right? Yeah. And the community just kind of blew me away. And again, maybe I just wasn't in that part of the funnel to come in, but it just wasn't something that I didn't buy the annual subscription for the community. I think I bought it for smart fishing spots, which again, I think we should get into you kind of have like pillars of your product, at least how I see it. And then, I got into the community. I'm like, okay, it's active. Because maybe that sounds silly for me to say a community is active. But as a founder, I know how unbelievably difficult it is to get people to be active in a community. We've not been able to, we don't have a community product. We've messed with it in the past. it's just freaking hard. It's so hard to get people to do it. And not only is it active, but it's like very valuable. And then you guys have, what do you call them? Like the local chapters. And so like I joined the local chapter here. I haven't got to go to a meeting yet. I got little kids. Yeah. I'm working on it, but they do like monthly meetings, you know, but people immediately, you know, I got in there, and my mother-in-law who's got cancer, she wanted to go on a trip. She really wanted to go fishing on a boat. And it was like the first day I joined, and I posted, I'm like, well, I guess I don't know, throw it up here, because all the guides were booked out. And like 16 people responded and like pointed me directions, sent me cell phone numbers of people. It was just like very, very cool.
I love it.
And like you said, you cannot just flip a switch and AI vibe code that, right? That's a very difficult thing to get going and super value driving. So that was what got me like, whoa, okay. And I had to reach out, and we talked, and I really enjoyed our conversation, hence me wanting to do this here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was, I won't say his name because I don't have his permission, but he was another founder that you probably know that raised a lot of money for an outdoor app. And he saw that we came out with our app. It's only been like 2 years. So we're year 10, and I think it's been 2 official years that we've had Smart Fishing Spots as an actual native mobile app. And same deal, we got on a call, and he's like, dude, he goes, I'm just kicking myself. He goes, you literally did what we're all trying to do, but you did it in reverse. He's like, we're all trying to create this awesome app to eventually create a community. He's like, you created a community and really nurtured it, and then came up with an app for your community who's already paying you money. You're like, his point was, we're trying to get people in there, and eventually they're going to pay us and be part of a community. And I would love to take credit and say that was all part of the plan. It wasn't. For a solid year, I was so against even having an app because I thought it was going to be a distraction. Now I'm very glad that we did it. But for anyone listening, I would say that community, and we get reached out to, and I'm sure like you guys do, you know, people just soliciting to really just kind of kicking the tires to see if there's a chance we wanted to sell. And that's all that always comes up in every conversation is they're really like, man, how did you do this? So it is interesting, the power of the community. And I do think with AI, it's going to disrupt a lot of stuff. And I think it's probably like what COVID did. It's going to make us crave those relationships and community. There's a reason we're doing the chapters probably more than ever before, when we're relying so much on, you know, GPTs and all this stuff to kind of help our lives out. I'm kind of betting on community myself.
For sure, man. For sure. I completely agree with you. Okay, so the business. So there's Salt Strong. You have the community, which we've been talking about. So it's a login platform. It's behind you subscribe. You can't just hop in there. It's not a Facebook group or whatever, which has a bunch of different cool stuff in it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a community of super passionate fishermen who live kind of Gulf Coast and I guess up the Eastern Seaboard, right? Yep. Very active, very engaged. You have your... and then you've got Smart Fishing Spots, which is a mapping app. And then you've got a e-com tackle business. So like, give us a quick little overview on the other pieces.
So I'll tell you one of the biggest mistakes that we did in the very early years and kind of leading up to where we are today. So the one thing that we were good at in the financial services industry was helping financial advisors create traffic. The insurance industry and the financial services industry was so far behind the times because some of it was SEC and FINRA and all that, where you can't have a website. And so we were helping them kind of create websites and driving traffic. So we were always pretty good at that. And so we knew that first year, we basically had a year, I'd say, kind of with, not to say we weren't stressed out, because it's always stressful starting a business and it always costs more than you think. But we had a year of a little bit of leeway to kind of figure out the business model. Like we didn't really have a true plan, but we did know one thing. Like if we can just get enough eyeballs, if we can build an audience and help put goodwill in enough people's lives, they're going to want to buy something from us. And the first thing that we came out with was apparel. Wearing some shirts and hats, and we still have some apparel, but I think you and I talked about that offline. We did not know that women return like 32% of everything they buy. We didn't know about, because it was all online, right? We didn't know about a crazy amount of people that would return stuff after they use it. And we just, like, one guy had cigarette burns in the shirt. And he's like, I don't want this. And we had a money back guarantee in 30 days. So like, I guess we have to take it back. But anyhow, it became not fun anymore. Like we wanted to create content and have a community and education. We're like, this is not fun. And so we started essentially selling information, right? Like meaning my brother's information. We teamed up with a few of their guides and captains, and we essentially started selling information in the form of courses, like kind of what Masterclass is today, online courses from different pros. And then behind that, kind of the foundation of the company was this insider club. And, we grew it from, 2 people to our parents, the first 2 members, to 100, then 1,000, 2,000 was a really big number for us. And I remember we hit 10,000 and I was like, all right, like we're going to have to create some other leg of this, or a tent pole, if you will. And then we got to 20,000, and that's when groups started reaching out to us. So there's something magical about having 20,000 members of anything, and regardless of if they're paying $1 a month or 12 or 20. That was when all of a sudden we started getting random emails from pretty big players saying, "Hey, I'm seeing what you guys are doing. Is there any way you want to team up?" And I'll throw out this one because I have their permission. Z-Man reached out.
Yeah.
And so Z-Man was one of those first partnerships we had where we created Slam Shady with them. Like, well, if you guys come up with your own cool color, we'll put it on one of our top molds and see how it does. And it crushed it. And we still work with Z-Man today, and it's been a really good partnership. So anyhow, that 20,000 was a pretty magic number. And at the time, we still didn't want to do tackle because I think it was the fear of the unknown. And we had already done the apparel, and it drove us crazy. And it was the fear of, man, if we do this again, are we going to have the same issues with returns and having to manage a fulfillment center and all this stuff? And so we kind of didn't do it for a while. We just kept doing partnerships where, hey, if you'll fulfill it for us, we'll just send you traffic. And then we started like seeing some of the numbers, like, man, we're like literally passing off, as an affiliate, but not really getting
a significant,
significant millions of dollars, literally. And we weren't getting paid anything. Like, that was part of our promise, is we don't take sponsorships, and still haven't. So we still haven't gotten a penny from any of these groups. It's always like, just give it to our members in discount. So we're like, man, that was like a line we drew in the sand. It's like, we have to find a way to monetize this without, being sponsored by these groups. And so we went all in and did it ourselves. So fishstrong.com it's on Shopify is the platform, and that is the e-commerce side. And so anyone can go shop there, probably like Costco. I think you can shop there even as a non-member, but members get, 20 to even 30% off everything as they're logged in. Obviously, you have to see the discounted prices as a logged in member. And now that's been a really, really big part of our business. Still gives us headaches because of everything I mentioned, having to keep up with inventory management and fulfillment and all that. But it has been a really, really fun part of the business, testing out new stuff and coming up with our own crazy ideas and lure names and stuff. Like, we actually really enjoy that part. And of course, going out and catching fish with stuff and figuring out what works.
Okay, tell your wife, like, I got to go do product development.
That's right.
It's going to be a 3-day trip to the Bahamas. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. So those are kind of the pillars of it. And then the last one that we haven't touched on is actually, I think, why I converted originally, which was smart fishing spots.
Yep.
So mapping.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. So
that's the latest. So went from apparel to info, education, to tackle. And then, as I said, I put it off for a year. We had this young guy on our team, and he's like, man, everyone's got an app. If you're not an app, you're not a real company. And I was like, dude, don't bring that up again. And I really was against it because, that's now you go from an education company that's online to a tech company, and the investment that takes and the amount of just new obstacles. It's a whole other business. And so,
you don't build it once and then leave it. No, it's got to be maintained. It's got to be new releases and versioning and all that stuff. Yeah.
And as you get more people on it, it gets way more expensive and things start breaking. And anyhow, I was really against it. And the more we kept talking about it, we're like, you know what? Someone's going to do this at some point, right? So someone's going to be the first to do it. Why shouldn't it be us? We already have an edge, right? We already built this massive audience. We already got customers who love us. And you know what? We have some cash in the bank. So like we kind of went all in. It was a pretty risky move at the time. Like, because we have no investors, by the way. Luke and I bootstrapped it from day one and never have taken a dime, and got close a couple times where we almost ran out of money. And that was one of them. We're like, man, if we do this, we're going to have to go all in. I mean, you don't just build an app for $100,000, right? Like a good one like that. And so it was, we we really budgeted out right, and we had to make a few sacrifices early on. And then as we saw how many people got excited by it, we're like, all right, we have to go all in on this and kind of bet the house on it. So yeah, we went all in on smart fishing spots. And what's unique about it, because there's a lot of mapping stuff. I know you've talked about Onyx in the past, and base camps, and those are all great.
Yep.
And I'm a subscriber to those myself. What we wanted something different about us. It wasn't just map layers. We have oyster bars and contour lines and now even like water temps and stuff. But we really wanted something that would be really hard to recreate and kind of like a moat. And that was why we called it smart fishing spots. So every one of those spots that you see on the app, and there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and there's more being added every month. They're all handpicked by a real person, like on our team or a captain or a guide or some local expert. We usually have to pay them. And I think too, like some people are like, oh man, I can't believe these people are willing to do that. I think fishing guides know, right? I mean, fishing guides have been around for forever, and they'll continue to be around. And
they will be around forever, of course.
And they know that they can take people to their best spots, and those spots aren't just going to disappear. They're not going to be run over by 1,000 people just because they showed them. And at the end of the day, you still have to have the education to be able to go out there and know how to catch those fish, right? If I go put a brand new person in the nicest boat with the nicest tackle and literally put them in the spot, they're probably not going to catch fish if they don't know how to retrieve or even rig, their live bait or lure or whatever it might be. So anyhow, that is what really separated. And we're using, I know you know the difference, but a lot of people like to throw around AI. I mean, it's kind of more machine learning to basically pick the right spot on the right day. So like if you actually slide the tide bar on smart fishing spots for a given day, if you look up, you'll see those spots. And on a given day, they're not going to move, because fish aren't moving, 100 miles in a day, but they are going to move off of flats. They are going to go up on flats during certain times of the day. So you actually see some of the spots will disappear. Some will change color. And that's what's really unique about ours versus like, you remember the old school spot maps that you can still buy them. Dude, it's been the same thing in spots for 40 years, right? You buy the map and it's like, it was like fish have tails and no fences. I was like, they're moving. So anyhow, that's really been fun, and it's been exciting for us. And we have some stuff I can't share yet publicly, but we've got a really creative team that's working on that app now. Now we see how important it is to our business and how much. I mean, you said it earlier. You came in probably because of the app, but then see there's other cool stuff. We got some really neat things that we're working on. So
okay, very interesting. So you talk about AI, again, something that a lot of people say it and they don't know exactly what it means, but using machine learning on the mapping side, are you guys internally across, like, I'll give you an example. So for us, I was a big skeptic until about, January. And then I'm like, oh, I'm stupid, of course. And this is a real thing and we should be doing it. Of course, my CTO had been leveraging it and, all that. But, and then I told the whole company, I said, like, every single person here, we're 8 people now, will be using AI every week, ideally probably every day, to help augment you in your roles. And so we do. It's hard to imagine like my December last year self and then now and the productivity. And now you still have to be smart. You still have to it's not the gospel. It makes stuff up. It's, it's not perfect. I like to say it goes from 0 to 85% instantly. And then you got to work that last 15% or so. Right. So, of course, on the technology side, we've spent the last 9 weeks kind of building our internal AI kind of infrastructure and scaffolding. Because we have a ton of data. We've been around 6 years. And we, LandTrust started in hunting, and hunting, you look at regulations. So, if it was something simple like lodging, oh my gosh, every single person that I know would book Montana elk hunts. Like if you could just book a hunt, like I could sell 1 million of them. But you can't, because Montana, elk hunting is regulated. And it has regulations that are geospatial, and they have, tags and draws and all that kind of stuff, right? So hunting is really complex. So we have a bunch of supply, meaning like land across the country that's offering hunting and fishing and other stuff, but we have to match it against the key of regulations. And, so imagine like trying to sell concerts, concert tickets, but you have to like apply to even buy the concert ticket. It's a lottery, right?
And so, you're doing it across states that all have their own and change frequently. And it's
50 different walled gardens, and there's no domain specific language, right? So it's like even saying like a hunting unit. Well, some states call it a game management unit. Some call it a hunt district. Some call it a zone. Like it's just, there's no common language. So all it is to say is, we're putting that, and we've been investing in it. And there's going to be customer facing kind of AI products in the next 2 months. How are you guys looking at it, from just an organizational perspective, both internally and then customer facing? Are you bought in? Or are you like, or, where are you guys at?
Very similar to you. I wasn't poo-pooing on it, but I wasn't using it a year ago. This year, very similar. Our whole team now uses it. We have, the paid account and the smart fishing game plan. So if you go to a smart spot and then click on it, you'll see a little button that says generate a smart game or a game plan. That is using a form of AI, the Gemini or what, I don't remember which one it is, but that and what that's doing is we're feeding it just private information from our fishing coaches. Because over the years we've done, essentially a weekly game plan every single week for years. So it's taking that data and then also taking some other data from our coaches on their reports and a couple of little small variables. And we're obviously
very cool.
Like AI, just trying to make it, just trying to feed it the right stuff. Because if you feed it too much, like you said, it kind of gets wonky. But that's been a real big one for us. I do think AI, though, it, like anything, at least today, it might take over the whole world and kill us all. But today, it's a tool, and we should be using it.
Yeah.
Our copywriting, like it's changed how we do ads and the amount of ads we're able to create and split test. Even some of the footage, like I had one recently in the ad to join our club. It was something along the lines like most fishermen go out there blind and they're just hoping and praying that they're going to, be in the right spot at the right time. And I was like, man, it'd be nice if we had some like B-roll of one of us out there, like doing this, like praying out in the water.
Praying, yeah.
And I went to the AI, I don't remember what it was. It was some video thing. And in 2 seconds, it looked so real. It was a real fisherman. I mean, you would never tell the difference actually praying in a kayak out in the ocean. And so we're using it now just for quicker B-roll and stuff. So I love it.
And that would have been that would have taken you, if you had that idea, you would have had to be working either with a creative employee or an agency. It would have taken weeks to get that turned around. And a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Or you go to some of the shutter stocks or some of the stock footage, $100 for this little clip, this 15-second clip, and it's just changed everything, and it's in seconds. So I think it's pretty amazing. I do think I told you I'm a little bit older, and I remember I graduated from Georgia Tech in 2001 in that summer. And, that was a pretty big cycle of the stock market. It was the tech bust. And I remember I got a double minor in finance and economics, and we had some amazing professors. We had one of the top guys, like number 2 or 3 of Coca-Cola. Coke's right there in Atlanta where Georgia Tech is, and he was our professor, and he's telling us like how you actually value a company. And there's a thing called EBITDA and real money. So I'm seeing this in a college classroom, and then I look at the real stock market and like these companies have made no money. Some of them are losing
Pets.com.
$200 million a month, and they're getting these it didn't make sense. So I got to see that, and where I'm going with this, it feels so eerily similar to what's happening now, where all the big private equity money and stuff, it's all going to this AI stuff. And I think there will be a bust. I think there'll be some winners. Remember, like at the time, Cisco and Dell were 3 of the big boys in that very first round. Like you had companies like JD Uniphase and some of these names that are WorldCom that are just gone. There's going to be some winners at the end of the day, but I do feel like this thing's going to kind of implode at some point. So I don't know if.
Well, the unit economics. I mean, you just look at it like we're using. My CTO, my tech team is using like Cursor, and you're looking at the unit economics. Like, there's no way you're making money on us.
No.
There's just no way. And my CTO, even at this point, is like, yeah, we could bring this in house. Like, it'd take a little bit of tooling, but eventually we probably will. And so they're in this position of okay, they're definitely not positive unit economics right now on our $20 a month or whatever the heck it costs. And if they were to raise the price to where the unit economics made sense, we'd be like, absolutely not. We'll just do this ourselves. Yeah. So I 100% agree. Yes, I think OpenAI, there's going to be a couple of them that absolutely are the winners, and they've raised a big enough war chest that, I don't know, no one can do anything with it. But I agree. And so it's good not to get caught up in the hype and look at where the AI can actually drive real value and not just have it be a trinket.
Correct.
Like, we don't want to ship something that's just an AI trinket, just to say we do AI. I think that's ridiculous.
I agree.
Okay, marketing. So I think I told you I spent my career in advertising and marketing technology before starting this business. So I worked early in YouTube, like 2010. I personally sold Microsoft, GM, and Adobe their very first ever YouTube campaigns,
so cool.
Influencer campaigns.
That's awesome.
They were terrified, literally, they're trying to script him. I'm like, no, the whole point is that you don't script it. Like, if you want to work with this person because they have your audience and they built that by being themselves. So you can't tell them what to do. So it was cool to see YouTube at that stage. Obviously, it sounds par for the course now, but I discovered you through YouTube. But I want to talk about marketing. Like, how do you guys think about marketing? How did you get to where you are today? You guys have built a really big business, and how do you look at paid versus organic, et cetera? So just give me your marketing kind of thoughts.
So I always go back to the beginning, putting myself in like a founder's shoes. We knew that, because it was happening, we were watching it happen, that YouTube was going to be huge. And nothing against written blog posts. And thankfully we went this route because AI is kind of replacing, some of that kind of content pretty quickly. Right. But with fishing and I'll say hunting, all the outdoor stuff, it is really something you need to see, right? You need to see. Yeah. You can't just explain to someone verbally how to tie a knot. Right. There's so many things that you really need to see. And so we just focused from the early days on creating a lot of video content. YouTube is the main kind of hub. If you look at a funnel, at the top of the funnel for sure. And the first time I met you, I asked you, like, hey, how'd you hear about us? And almost everyone, not everyone, 80% of people say it was a YouTube video. It was a knot video, or I saw your brother catch the snook from the third floor balcony, or it was some video that they either remembered or something on YouTube, but still put it out there on Facebook and Instagram, et cetera. So we basically just created content. This is the simple version, and then we'd read the comments and essentially listen to the people saying, well, hey, you didn't explain this, or what about this, or what do you do next? And we're like, oh, cool, that'll be our next video. And so over 10 years, it's kind of been our thing. And so we have this massive Google Doc. It's got to be 3,000 lines deep now at this point that just literally, we just copy and paste the questions, because think about it. If you have someone who's taken time to write a comment, a positive comment, not the
totally
numbskull stuff, what they're asking is exactly what's on their mind, and it's exactly how they're going to type it in on their computer or their phone into YouTube. So it's like, well, if that's what they're saying in their head, and they're let's literally make a video and have that be the title in many cases. Like, they're even telling us what the SEO is, right? Because that's
how do you describe Salt Strong to your buddies? And it's like,
yes.
I in the early days, I was very against being described as Airbnb for hunting. And so I was like, do not use this in our copy. Do not do any of that stuff. Obviously, they're a $100 billion company. And now I'm like, we're like Airbnb for hunting on privately. And I don't know, like, if this is how my customers are going to tell their buddies about us, I might as well use the language, right?
Embrace
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, we literally just use the language and listen to what customers said. But to kind of go past those first handful of years, and so we did no paid ads at all, no paid media at all in those first probably 4 or 5 years. And at some point, SEO and just it was organic, content. Yeah. No matter how many videos you put out a day, you hit a cap. You can only get so much traffic unless you're just.
There's only so much search volume for fishing knots or whatever it might be.
You got it. Yeah. If you're truly doing how-to stuff. Now, if you want to be like Bamba Beach Bum, a true YouTuber who's just getting a ton of eyeballs, different ballgame. But if you're doing how-to stuff, you're right.
Evergreen content.
You hit a cap, and so. We started exploring Facebook ads first. This was prior to Instagram being what it is today, and way, prior to TikTok as well. Yeah. And we just started doing Facebook ads because we realized our audience in general is a little bit older men, meaning, people who are at least 35 and 40 or higher that do value their time, that have a job, that love fishing and hunting and are looking for a little bit of an edge or looking for some education and don't want to take 10 years like it did for us to figure out what you could do in a couple months now. And so we knew that they were on Facebook and we've now gone pretty heavy. I won't say exact numbers, but I mean, we're spending a lot and it's all about ROI. I think anyone listening, you gotta know money math is really what it comes down to. And even though I told you earlier, I had a minor in finance and economics, I really struggled with that. I don't know if it was the fear of knowing exactly how much, or it was also complicated and you can't really trust Facebook's, all their pixels and
grading
tracking.
their own homework.
Yeah. So we were a little bit sloppy in the beginning, but as we kept scaling, all right, we have to know our cost to acquire a customer, our cost per eyeball, all that stuff,
lifetime value, all that stuff.
You got it. And so now we put a lot of focus on it. And just like anything, you want an ROI as quick as humanly possible. And because we know our LTV from doing this so many years and we know our cost to acquire the customer, we're in a pretty good spot. So I would never recommend anyone doing just one. I think relying on just one thing is kind of dangerous. So that's why we have the organic part, and we're still creating content. And we also boost some stuff, and we also have things we only run ads to. And now we do some, partnership deals with guys like Bama Beach Bum, who started off as a member, ironically, and then said, hey, we ended up meeting him, super nice guy, and he's like, hey, I have a YouTube channel. Maybe we can partner up in some way. So now it's kind of all of that. But at the end of the day, what I'm most proud of is that community and all the education that we've created. And so I shame on us if we ever move away from that. And so like every Monday afternoon, we have a content meeting for an hour with the coaches, with all our little content creators, and we just brainstorm and go through that list of 3,000 different ideas and start checking off, well, hey, we haven't done this, or we haven't done this in 3 or 4 years. Let's recreate it. And so we're constantly just thinking about what could we create that's helping someone. If we help someone, great, like you. Maybe you'll join us in a month. Maybe it's a year from now. I don't really care. But if we helped you and you helped you catch more fish or help create a memory with your family, great, we win. And at some point, you either tell someone else that you had a good experience or you join. So that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Interesting. It's funny. We approached it in the opposite order that you did, because I came out of performance marketing. Like, I was fortunate to work with some of the biggest and best digital customer acquisition teams on the planet. At one point, I was working with Machine Zone, which at the time they had the number 1 and number 2 mobile games on the planet. Whoa. They were doing $6 million a day in net, and they were spending $25 million a month in YouTube, just YouTube. And they were it was crazy. Their games were the ones where like Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the ads. They were crushing it at the time. So I took that and was like, all right, I know paid, and that's what I've been working in. Like, let's go do that. And so really leaned on paid to acquire customers. And then, in the last couple of years started to be like, well, I met our now chairman, who was the former chief revenue officer at Outdoorsy, which is like the RV rental kind of peer-to-peer marketplace. He's like, dude, love the business. You got to stop paying for your customers. And you got to get positive contribution margin, because unlike you, we did go raise venture capital. And, with that comes a whole different track, right? So I'm cemented into a different track. Good or bad? TBD, right?
And if you had a comfort with it, like you had some confidence that you knew how to, we never run an ad before. So it was like, man, this is scary stuff. But if you're raising money, and you have someone on your team yourself that has some expertise level and running paid ads, do it. I mean, no brainer. It works.
But I still think your way of doing content first is the correct way to do it, because that feedback, the comments, like what's going to resonate, what actually takes off, that could inform the content that you either then boost or go and like inform your acquisition strategy. So, again, hindsight 2020. Yeah. Now we don't spend any money on advertising anymore, and it's all organic, but it's taken a long time to get there. And, then answer engines come in, ChatGPT, all this stuff. The good thing about your strategy with YouTube is not going to get disintermediated by LLMs. It's still a pure play search engine, and it's not going to get messed up by any of these LLMs. So I think it's such a smart, fortuitous investment that you guys made, making that the central platform, because everyone that was leaning on Google and Google search and all that stuff, like, wow, different world.
Yeah, it is
totally different world in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so between Tackle, so e-commerce, tech now, and how long's that been alive? How long's the kind of map technology piece been alive?
2 years,
okay,
plus or minus.
And then and then the community. Like, what's the hardest?
The hardest to what?
I would just say the hardest. You interpret that as you see fit. What's hardest?
Oh man, I mean it goes back to what do you love doing? And usually if you love something, it comes easier. And in our past life, we were good at creating organic content, and we had a really awesome community. That was what made that's why our old boutique financial services company sold, because of those two things.
Yeah.
And so for us, that was like what we woke up and just did. It was natural to us. So the app to us was the hardest thing by far. I mean, it was the biggest check we ever had to cut. It was a really, really steep learning curve, and still is, to be honest with you. And that was probably the toughest. I will say, though, if someone does a community, it did start on Facebook. I don't know if you know that or not. So it did start on Facebook, and a lot of it was because it was just easy. That was right when Facebook groups came out. And we're like, man, this thing's free. It's
perfect timing.
It's already built.
Yep.
This is like
everyone's already on it.
This is a godsend. Let's just do that. And we realized pretty quickly as we grew, someone does leave, because we lose some customers every once in a while, and then you now have to go find them. You have to pay someone, a real person, to go, look in your CRM. Oh, they canceled. Now we got to go find them in Facebook and kick them out. And you're having to approve people all the time.
Yes.
And you got spammers and all the, you got people who find a way into the group.
Selling knives. And,
And so, totally. And then people like my dad, my dad's in his mid 70s. And he's a hardcore angler, and obviously, one of our supporters and members. And he's got a lot of friends who he's gotten to join that are all in their 70s, and they're not on Facebook. My dad's group, they're old school outdoor guys, old Eagle Scouts, and they're like, man, I'm not going to be on Facebook. And so I would talk to my dad about something like over a beer, and he goes, how am I missing all this stuff that you're doing? And I was like, you're not on Facebook. And I was like, I completely forgot. I was like, so we were using that community as essentially like our bulletin board of everything going on.
Yeah.
And he and his friends were missing all of it. So it's like, man, we gotta come up with our own. And so we built our community, from scratch. I don't know all what code language and stuff it's on.
Yeah.
But we really thought a lot about that and said, all right, what do we want this to look like in 3-5 years from now? What filters and what do we want people to be able to find quickly? How do we want this structured differently than what we have today? And so that was a tough transition. It didn't really cost that much, because we had the people on the team that already, once again, kind of liked that and could build it. But that was a tough transition to move everyone over, for the same reason that communities are tough. Like, once someone gets comfortable in there, and we tick some people off. Some people even left when they're like, oh man, I'm not going to this other one. You already got me in here, and all my stuff's in here. And so that
there's always those guys.
I know.
Yep.
They're always, you can't please them all.
Yeah, that makes sense. The e-com side of things, I mean, we talked about it. People are like, why don't you guys sell hats and merch and stuff? I'm like, I don't know, man. It just seems like a lot that I don't know anything about, that I know enough to make me scared of it.
That's the easiest thing to sell. Like, dude, it's crazy. Let's just say we did our very best ad for joining the club, smart fishing spots, tackle discounts, throw it all in there. And then we do another ad that shows my brother catching a fish on the prawn. That thing does so well. The toughest part is the inventory management and, making sure you don't run into certain colors and SKUs. That part is been the toughest and the most frustrating. But to buy a few hats and sell them and have drop ship, that's honestly not it might be intimidating, but that part was actually not that hard. The fulfillment part,
and I'm having no return policy. Return policy.
And no one, and so like with fishing lures, because that's how it started. We're like, man, no one ever returns a pack of fishing lures of 7 lures ever. I don't know that we have any. If someone did, like, man, just keep them. We'll give your money back.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
And rarely do they return hats, but like once you start getting into shirts and those expensive performance shirts,
the UPF shirts,
man, dude, that's no, thank you. That part is hard. Yeah, and you really have to you have to have distribution. You really have to. It's really tough to make that work on an e-com site by itself. And there have been companies that have done it, but most of them have either raised money or brought some investors on. It's just really tough.
Yeah, and I think that's where private equity has played in this space a lot. You know, in the hunt fish space, you see the manufacturing side get rolled up because, hey, look, you get all the synergy and economies of scale of putting these things together and all that. So they bring a lot of capital to bear and kind of machinery to bear, so to speak.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, I know we're getting close to time here. One of the things you said early on, which resonated with me, I scribble notes down while I talk because I forget things, but I don't know, haven't done 10, maybe 15 of these episodes with founders and operators in what we like to call rec tech, so like recreation technology. Yep. It does seem like the common thread is effective use of your time outdoors. You know, that's why I started mine. I'm like, hey, look, knocking on people's doors, asking to go hunting on their land, not super effective use of time. I was single, didn't have any children, so I had the time, but at the same time, you know, like there's just a no % chance.
Yeah.
And it gets, you know, worse and worse all the time. Now I've got 3 kids and a business, and like there's a handful of days a year I get to go hunting, you know. So when I do, I just want to like control as many variables and use it effectively. And effective for, you know, I always say like, it doesn't mean I'm killing an animal in the hunting world. It just means like I got outdoors, relaxed, and maybe spent some time with some friends or family and just like had a great experience. Yep. That's it. Yeah. If you get to kill an animal, awesome. That's great. But it sounds like you guys wanted that too as a driver. Is like, man, you have kids. I mean, when you were starting this, did you have kids when you started or no?
Yeah. Well, one daughter. Yep. And now okay, like so, you have 3 now. So yeah, same deal.
You felt the crunch. Well, you're still alive, which is good. It makes me feel like I can do it. But yeah, you're feeling the crunch. You don't get to go fish 5 days a week, you know? So that was a driver, right?
Huge. It's all about shortening that learning curve. And, you know, when we were 20, you know, like going out bass fishing and we started kind of cutting our teeth in the saltwater, dude, you had no responsibilities. Like
none.
You know, because in your 20s, you're old enough to drive a truck and, you know, pull a boat around or
sleep in your truck.
Yeah. And dude, we'd fish 8 hours on a Saturday and then another 8 on a Sunday. And that was just, you just did it. And then all of a sudden the real world hits you. You're like, whoa. And then you got kids and like wife's like, all right, honey, you're going to have to make a choice between golf or fishing. You can't do both. There's not enough time in the weekends. And obviously I pick fishing, but you have to start dropping stuff.
Good choice. Yeah.
And I think what's also interesting, and I think this will resonate with anyone in the outdoor space, as we've now had kids, like yesterday, we had a private lesson. My daughter's really good at soccer. She's on a traveling team.
Nice.
And we do private lessons for her like every other week. And sons into swimming, another daughter into water skiing. In every one of those sports, there is a lot of different options to hire a coach. You like locally here in Winter Haven, Florida, I can find a coach for all of those different sports and then some. I always found it very odd that for like hunting and fishing in general, you can't just go out there and hire like a local coach for a couple hours to teach you. It's, you know, with fishing, you can go hire
that is a really interesting
a guide for a day, but it's like, why is it you know how much money is spent in the outdoor space and we don't truly have coaches. There's guides and there's all kinds of lodges and things you can do, but that's really to put you like on an elk or on a redfish or, you know,
to produce an outcome. that day.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I need you to catch fish today. I'm
Right.
not going to teach you rigging.
Correct.
Because then we're not fishing because you're not catching fish.
Correct. And so I always thought that, and so that was also part of that play too, of the need that we were trying to fill is, man, why can't we be the first company that has fishing coaches, like online fishing coaches? They're not going to sit there and come to your house and do everything for you, but you can learn so much these days online. I still think, getting some face-to-face time is very valuable, but it's just not there.
Totally.
Like there's nowhere in this town I could go hire a coach for the day that I know to teach my kid how to be a better fisherman. Maybe that'll change, but I always thought that was very, and same with hunting. It's very, very,
these things that are huge passions of our life. It's a very astute point. I've never actually heard anyone articulate before. So again, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing all your experience with it. Kudos on the business you built. It's driving real world impact. And I don't know, as a guy who came out of the advertising world, I'd always say and kind of jest before a meeting, like, we're not doing the Lord's work here. Like we're getting people to buy stuff off Instagram or whatever, right? But, you actually, and I feel like, we do too, we get to deal in lifelong memories. That's kind of how I explain it. You get people out there fishing and catching fish. It's lifelong memories that we get to deal in, and that's something that I think is unique. So thank you, Joe, for coming on and sharing kind of the experience.
Dude, thank you, and love what you're building there at LandTrust, and hopefully we can find some ways to partner in the future. Our ultimate goal is, we've done a really cool thing, in my opinion, in the saltwater space. We're still young in the big scheme of things, and we kind of want to copy and paste a lot of what we did into freshwater fishing, and then hunting and camping, and kind of go from being a trusted saltwater fishing community to more of an outdoor overall community. It's going to take some time, but that is kind of in the long-term playbook that we dream about. So
we should talk more about that. We should go hunt too, man. I didn't even ask you about that, but I assume you like to hunt, right?
Yeah, it's another one with 3 kids, and I fish a lot, but I don't get to hunt as much. But
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, we should try to get together and fish. I can come out your way. And how old are your kids? How old are your daughters? You have 3 daughters.
Yes. So just turned 14. So that was the one that I had. Yep. And then 10 daughter and 8-year-old son.
Okay. So you have, two daughters and a son.
2 daughters
That's
and
awesome.
a son. Yep.
Yeah. A little bit ahead of me, but
yep.
It's great, man. Well, hopefully they all like getting outdoors, and that's the best thing you can do with them. So appreciate you, Joe. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Outsides Insiders here on the LandTrust Podcast. Want to give another big thanks to Joe Simonds from Salt Strong for joining us and sharing such a cool journey with that business. Again, I'm a passionate user of his company and really, really love what he's built. If you did get value from the conversation, please do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment. All that stuff helps us, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube. It helps us grow the show and keep awesome guests like Joe coming on. To learn more about Salt Strong and everything they're doing to help anglers, specifically kind of more on the Gulf Coast and East Coast, Florida, and some of those Eastern Seaboard states, you can go to saltstrong.com. I can personally attest to it. The community is phenomenal. A bunch of great resources. Effectively, it's kind of like your fishing coach to what Joe was talking about towards the end of that conversation. So learn a lot. Get catching more fish, spend more effective time outside. You can also follow Joe on LinkedIn. He's just Joe Simonds, Simonds, to get his latest thoughts and whatnot. We'll put the links in the description. Make sure you're following the LandTrust Podcast on YouTube. You can just search landtrust.com on YouTube and you'll see our channel there. Subscribe to it, click the bell, and you will get these episodes as well as other cool content we're starting to push out through there. And if you haven't already, go to landtrust.com, take 15 seconds, create a free account. Tell us what activities you like, whether you like to hunt or fish, whatnot, what states you're interested in doing these things. And we will just send you opportunities curated to what your interests are totally for free. So we're out there scouting 365 days a year for you, whether it be to hunt or fish or what else. That's it for this week. Thanks for joining. Catch you next time.